For our week in Chicago, we had a packed itinerary, including visits to the Art Institute of Chicago, Museum of Contemporary Art, Museum of Science and Industry, Art Aids America exhibit, and many more. However, there were many unplanned moments during this trip that turned out to be some of the best. We were able to witness the St. Patrick's Day Parade downtown, took a detour through the University of Chicago, very similar to Hogwarts, saw an original Tiffany ceiling and a Dr. Seuss display in Macy's department store, athletic artwork in a Nike store, and encountered many forms of street art. Not only did we get to learn from museum as classroom, but also city as classroom, which made the trip all the more enriching.
In Chicago, we stayed in a beautiful city mansion that serves as a house for members of the Norbertine Order. The house was wonderfully huge, full of decorative woodwork and beautiful glass windows. The Norbertines were amazing hosts, going so far as to make dinners that we shared in the gorgeous dining room. The house is old and has its own story to tell, and when walking through the hallways and staircases, it felt like living in another time.
I've been a huge foodie my whole life, so one thing I was obviously really excited about was the famous Chicago food. Luckily, Father Nielsen almost always had food on the brain, so we not only ate deliciously, we ate often. Some of the yummy foods we tried were Portillo's famous chocolate cake shakes and hot dogs, Eggs Benedict and stewed prunes at Lou Mitchell's Diner, and classic Chicago-style deep dish pizza. Even the meals we shared with the hospitable Norbertines were tasty and memorable.
Taking Father Nielsen's History of Modern Art class last year helped set me up for this trip. When I was learning about Mark Rothko in class, I hadn't considered I would get to see some of his works in a year's time. But I fell in love with Mark Rothko anyway, and seeing not one, but two of his works in person was an instant flood of emotion.
The piece of art that most affected me was the Portrait of Ross by Felix Gonzalez Torres. I first learned about it in Father Nielsen's Sacred Art and Architecture class. It was funny to watch other museum goers' reactions when we took a piece of the artwork. In taking a piece of candy, we participated in the deterioration Ross, who is Felix's boyfriend, dying of AIDS. After the candy disappears, the Art Institute leaves it empty for a while and then replenishes it, so we were really lucky to get the chance to see it.
My favorite part of the Chicago trip was going to the Robie House, which was designed by architect Frank Lloyd Wright. I've loved Frank Lloyd Wright ever since I was really little, and seeing his designs in person are always really exciting for me, and it never really gets old. So getting to walk through the Robie House is a day I'll always remember.
I found one of my favorite pieces in the Museum of Contemporary Art. Silver Clouds by Andy Warhol is an interactive work of art where all are welcome to walk around and get lost in the clouds. Warhol wanted to utilize science and art by creating what he called a 3D painting of floating light bulbs. I absolutely loved being able to participate in this piece and seeing the joy it brought to people's faces.
The best part about the Chicago trip was making new friends. The 6 of us spent so much time together laughing and learning. We bonded over our love for classic artwork, the Fibonacci sequence, and Father Nielsen. We also spent time meeting and getting to know the Norbertines living in the house we stayed at. I'm so thankful for the new group of people I have met and grew closer to through this experience.